Hey family, it's Shaq, and I hope you're doing really well wherever you are. Oh, I can't hear myself. Hey family, it's Shaq, and I hope you're doing really well wherever you are. About a year ago, I put out a video for crafting an endgame cold dot wand, kind of self-crafting your own endgame weapon. And while that video is still relevant, it still works, there has been a change to the modifiers since then, and because I am now putting out the class builds for everyone series, where we now have not just a cold dot build, but we have fire dot and physical dot, I kind of wanted to do a refresh and make just a quick video kind of explaining that process as of this league for anyone who's going to be playing either a witch cold damage over time, a Templar fire damage over time, or the Scion physical damage over time. Basically, if you are playing a damage over time based spellcaster, this is a method for you to craft your own endgame weapon and potentially save a whole lot of currency. So let's take a quick look at how you can do that. I want to start off by noting that there are a few steps in this process where there's a trade-off between having something that is essentially the best you can have or close to perfect, and having something that can save you a lot of either time in SSF or currency if you play in trade. So I will try to highlight those steps when they come up, and you can basically make the decision for yourself on whether you're going to spend more money or invest more time into having a potentially perfect or better outcome, or whether you're okay for maybe a slightly lower tier or slightly more inexpensive step. To prepare for this craft, you're going to need two things. There's kind of two steps to this preparation process. Step one, pretty simple. You need the materials. Step two, also very simple. You need your item base. So let's start with the materials. Here is what you're going to need to do the craft. You're going to need 1 scouring orb. You're going to need 4 chaos orbs. The things that you're definitely going to need is 1 scouring orb, 6 chaos orbs, and 4 exalted orbs. Now, there are 2 materials that are kind of RNG based. You don't really know how many you need until you start crafting. And those are orbs of annulment and essences of woe. So you may need 0 annuls, you may need more than that. And for the essences of woe, you pretty much want as many as you can get to make that crafting process easier than just kind of spamming them as you get them. So go out and start collecting your essences of woe for the craft. Now, just to show you the most efficient way to build up your collection of essences, just to take a second and look at the 318 Atlas tree. What I have highlighted here are all of the ways to really power farm your essences. So these are basically almost every essence node that you can get on the tree. And as you can see here, it only takes about 35 total points, depending on where you're pathing through for your other things. But in as little as 35 total map bonuses, you can have all of the essence nodes essentially that you'll need on the tree. Now, there is another benefit to kind of powering through and farming up your essences using your Atlas passives, and that is to offset the cost of those 4 exalted orbs that I mentioned. As you farm these up, you're going to obviously get a lot of essences in general and a lot of essences that aren't woes. And those essences you should be looking for, look up on the trading website or on whatever tool that you use for trading. Find the essences that are worth a little bit, and once you have a decent chunk of those, a stack or 2 at least, sell them off in bulk as much as you can, and you can really offset the cost of that exalted orb kind of sink in Trade League. Now, as you build up your stockpile of essences, we come to kind of the first decision point that I mentioned earlier, and that is, how perfect do you want your spell damage roll? Because as we use these essences, what I want you to notice is the different tiers, basically tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 of these essences. So if you notice, by using the best possible essence of woe, that guarantees that your weapon is going to have 83 to 94% spell damage. That is really strong, really powerful. However, if you look down here, it's not like that amount fully goes away, it's just lowered tiers. So the Shrieking Essences of Woe will give you 67 to 82%, and the Screaming will give you 50 to 66%. And the reason this is kind of a consideration, particularly in SSF, is because this amount is a pretty high spell damage roll. But what it is not, it's not 3 times this amount. And it's really important to think about the fact that it takes 3 Screaming Essences to equal 1 Shrieking Essence. So building up a pool of potentially dozens of essences of woe that are deafening can take a very long time, as opposed to building up a high amount of either of these two. If you think about it, it's basically 9 Screaming Essences of Woe for every 1 Deafening Essence, because you need to build up 3 of these, turn them into a Shrieking, and then build up 3 of those and turn them into a Deafening. So, well, it's not a bad idea to have Deafening Essences of Woe. I highly recommend thinking about, especially in SSF, potentially keeping quite a few that are this tier or lower. And essentially all you're missing out on is just a couple of, 10, 15, 20, 30% spell damage. But since that is also not, by far not the most important stat on the wand, it's just something to think about that may save you a lot of time farming up those essences. All right, now once again, when it comes to your item base, you have 2 choices. Now the easiest way to obtain an item base for this craft is to go to the coast in Act 1. That's immediately following Lion Eyes Watch. Go to the coast, start killing monsters, and get yourself some driftwood wands. They're going to be item level 2, which is exactly what we need, and you want to pick up potentially a couple of them, but just make sure that it is an item level 2 driftwood wand. Now your second option for obtaining your item base for a more powerful base, but one that's potentially going to take a lot longer to obtain, is this Dark Temptation Divination card. Now the important thing to remember with this is you absolutely do not want to turn in this set of cards with your character. You need to make a brand new character, and you need to go kill Hillock and get into Lion Eyes Watch. And the reason is, when you turn in your obliteration, your Dark Temptation cards for your obliteration wand, the wand that you get is going to be the item level of the character that turned in that set of cards, all the way up to item level 80. So for that reason, if you turn in your set of Dark Temptation cards with a fresh level 2 character in Lion Eyes Watch, you will get a level 2 obliteration wand. Now, what we'll do with that afterward is you're going to turn it in, you're going to get your item level 2 obliteration, and this is a little complicated, so follow me here and replay this section if you need to. You're going to use a Vol Orb on it and corrupt it. And the goal is to actually brick it into a rare. The worst outcome, typically, that's what you want to do. You want it to turn into a bricked rare that is now a Demon Horn base. It's item level 2. Now, once you have your corrupted rare Demon Horn base that's item level 2, you're going to go to town vendors or use wands that you may have picked up and stashed before, and you're going to buy yourself 4 other Demon's Horn bases. So you can typically find these in I believe in Act 8, but definitely in the Act 9 and Act 10 towns. The vendors will sell them there, and I believe possibly in the epilogue. So just look for your Demon Horn bases. You need 4 more of them. You need to make them rare, and then when you vendor those 5 total Demon Horns together, your corrupted bricked obliteration and the other 4 rare Demon's Horns, you will get back a rare uncorrupted Demon's Horn that is item level 2. And at that point, whether you've chosen the Driftwood wand or this obliteration method, you'll have your item level 2 wand, and you should have the rest of the materials. And at this point, we're ready to make our wand. Right, now when it comes to the craft, I'm going to show this process through Craft of Exile because it's a lot easier for me to have multiple tabs open and give kind of examples and show you a list. So we're going to do it all on this website rather than in game. So if you are looking for whatever your build is, whether it's cold damage over time, whether it's like an Essence Drain Contagion spellcaster or Bane or whatever, if you're looking for Righteous Fire, if you're looking for Sanguinate and Creeping or Corrupting Fever, cold dot player there. Whatever you're looking for, you want to try to hit that +1 gem. If you notice on an eye level 86 wand or something up much higher, the mod pool that you can hit is absolutely massive. So your chances of hitting what you want are extremely low. But look what happens if we change this from eye level 86 to item level 2. That is the first item level in which these modifiers can show up. And so look at the percentage chance of hitting that jumps from 0.3 to over 2.5%. So your chance of hitting these mods jumps up drastically, almost 10 times as much. And you can see that reflected in the number of woe attempts that it takes to hit this, from something like 230 attempts all the way down to like the mid 20s or 30s on average. All right, now for this, I wanted you to be able to see all the modifiers and all the attempts and everything, so I've turned the camera off. But all you're going to do is very simply, you're going to start using your essences on your wand. And what you're looking for is your desired +1 gem level mods. So you can see here this +1 to level of all cold spell skill gems, or fire, fizz, or chaos, whatever you're looking for. That's what you're trying to hit. Now, I made a couple of examples here so you can see the variance and how lucky or unlucky you can get. I hit this the very first time on 8 attempts. I've never hit it that quickly in game. I've had a lot of people message me saying they hit it in 1 or 2. Those people are now in jail. But this is, as you can see, going up a little bit more. This took 15 for us to hit the +1 cold there. And this one is much more realistic to my personal experience. This took 32, and that's about what it took me in this league to hit it. So again, this is a good chance to remind you, think about whether or not you want to upgrade all of your tier 3 and tier 2 essences, the screaming and shrieking, into deafenings, because this 32 for deafening woes, that's the equivalent of multiply that by 9, you're looking at potentially 200 plus woes needing to be collected at tier 3 in order to roll this many. So that being said, what you're looking for now is very simple. At this point, we know exactly what we're looking for, and very soon we're going to be able to know the exact cost. So what you want to hit is this +1, and the most important part is, at this point, you need to have exactly what you see here. You need to have 1 open prefix and at least 1 open suffix. So if you don't have that, like as using this as an example, we have 3 prefixes. This one has also 3 prefixes. If this happens, you're going to need to use annulments. And if you get unlucky, this is the part at which you're going to potentially wipe out your spell damage roll or your +1 cold or whatever your gem is and have to start again with the essences. So let me just throw these away and see what happens there. So that's fine. We got another attempt at it, but now our odds aren't very great. We didn't hit the +1 cold or spell damage. And there we go. So we wiped out the spell damage. So this wand would have to start again with the woes. I told you I wasn't going to get that lucky. So let's try it again with this. So if you do this, you annul, and oh, we actually hit it that time. Okay, well, that's the exciting part. So at this point, this wand is ready to go. This wand is ready to go as well, because you can see we have 1 of each. And at this point, it's all deterministic. Once you have this open prefix and open suffix, you know exactly what it's going to cost to craft this item. And that's those fixed costs that we talked about before. It's going to cost you now 2 exalts, and then 1 scour, and then it's going to cost you 2 exalts, and then 6 chaos, and then you are pretty much done. There's 1 optional craft at the end, but at that point, you'd be pretty much done. Just going to interrupt this real quick to pop in here at the end. I almost forgot to record this section, so just wanted to point out, this is a point at which, especially for SSF players, you can stop here. You are not required to, for instance, go through this example that I just showed where we accidentally wiped out our spell damage roll. Once you hit a decent spell damage roll and a +1 cold, that can last you all the way into like tier 16 maps. If you want to be able to handle like super endgame content, especially bosses, that's the point at which you're going to need to go beyond this. But this type of wand here is totally fine for the end game. Just take a prefix or suffix benchcraft and go with it, and you'll be good to go. So I'll show the end craft now, but I just wanted to pop in for a quick second to say that. All right, so once you have an open prefix and an open suffix, it is incredibly simple at this point. It's just a matter of your currency. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go on your crafting bench and add a suffix that says prefixes cannot be changed. Now again, this is going to cost you 2 exalts here. That's the cost of the craft on your crafting bench. So you're going to craft this, and now those prefixes are locked in. That spell damage, that +1 cold is locked in, and from here, you're going to scour. I know this is going to be scary for people who haven't done this before, but the prefixes are locked. You're going to scour, and you're going to end up with a 2-mod rare item. At this point, you're going to go back to your crafting bench, and you're going to spend your other 2 exalts for the craft, and this time you're going to can have up to 3 crafted modifiers. Once we have this is where the chaos crafts come into play. If we go down to, I think I just closed it back. Oh no, it's right here. So the next, you're going to place 2 more crafts from your crafting bench on here. It's going to cost you 4 chaos to craft cold damage over time multiplier. You're going to go for obviously the highest tier, which is 18 through 20. And this, by the way, you will have access to this craft once you unveil it through betrayal missions in the endgame. So you're going to craft this, you're going to put it on there, and then you're going to go to a prefix, because the best one available now is a prefix. You're going to go increased damage over time, 21 to 30%. You're going to craft this. Now take a look at this wand. This thing can do all of the content. Again, you can put this, if you're looking for a +1 fire, you would obviously put fire damage over time multiplier. But the point is, this wand is incredibly powerful and will last you right through all of the content you want to do in the game on a much cheaper budget than looking through Trade League for like +1/+1 wands or fractured all spell skill gems, things like that. Now, as a final note, there is an open suffix on this item. And the only thing that's really applicable, because it's such a low item level, you can't do things like ashling slams, things like that. The last piece is, if you want to, you can use bestiary to craft aspect of the spider onto this wand, and at that point you are looking at a fully finished product. So that's it. That process is pretty simple. It just requires some dedicated farming and knowing what you're doing, and you can have yourself a very, very powerful endgame weapon for your damage over time spellcasters. So I hope that was helpful for you, whether you're playing Cold Dot, RF, playing Fizz Dot, or something else entirely. Hopefully that was helpful for you to know kind of that process and walk through that craft. For people using my guides, this description of how to craft this will be in the Cold Dot path of building notes, the RF path of building notes, and the Scions physical dot path of building notes. So I hope you enjoy that. I'm looking forward to using this for my own characters in 3.18, and hopefully I'll see you there.